Hello. I am Lindsey Hall and happy Wednesday. I am a divorce and intimacy coach and I come on every week and do these tea break chats where I talk to you about what's been going on in the past week, kind of a life in the week of an intimacy coach. Hey, Claire. And then I answer your questions. And quite often I come on here and go, what am I going to talk about this week? And today is no different. In that, I honestly feel like life is just on fast forward right now. It is just, like, I swear I just did the last tea break chat yesterday, maybe 2 days ago at the most. So when I stop and go, man, what is there to talk about? It's because it feels like time is just flying and there's been no time at all since the last week, but also I'm doing so much in every day and in every week right now. It's like there is loads going on. I just don't always quite know what it was or what to talk about. And so actually that is precisely what I do want to talk about, is how we have these different seasons of our life, different phases, and really learning how to embrace all of them is making all the difference. So I am, when you look at my calendar, even just visually looking at it right now, so I've got a Google Calendar on my phone, and it's a whole, one of the screens on my phone, when you swipe, and you can see the whole month at a glance. And when you look back from, 3 months ago and earlier, there was stuff in it, but there was also loads of white space. It was colorful, but plenty of room. These last 3 months, you look, and it is chock-a-block. It is just visually apparent. I had this very sudden difference, and there was no, gradually leading up to it. I got this accounting work, this accounting contract, and suddenly started packing things into that part of my day, into my coaching business day, every bit, everything it was practically overnight where it went whoosh. And I'm busy, a lot. But some of that busyness is also resting and recharging. And so the what I want to talk about, and I think I've talked about this in a few different weeks, this managing your energy levels, but it's managing your energy levels and embracing the season that you're in, embracing that flow. I'm instantly flowing as I start saying that, and not making any of it wrong. And so in all of this that I'm doing right now, there's a lot of days where it's my calendar's this and then that and then that and then that and then that. And then maybe put my kids to bed. There's a block of time where I've got them. And then after they're asleep, I might do some more things. And I'm really feeling into that energy right now. It's yes, things are going so well, and I want to do all the things, and I want to keep going and riding this wave. And then also knowing that there's some days and some weeks and some months or even years. There's different parts, there's different seasons where it's actually, that is absolutely not where I'm at, and making that okay too. And so right now, I've really been riding this high for pretty much the last 2 or 3 months in general. The general theme of this season is this high energy, but it's not every day. Of course it's not. And it very much is fluctuating throughout the month as my cycle changes, but also sometimes day to day. Yesterday, for example, I had a really busy day in my corporate work. I got loads done. I was feeling it. And then I had planned on doing a whole bunch of stuff in the evening for my coaching business. I didn't have my kids yesterday, didn't have any evening plans, had all of these things I wanted to do. And instead, I watched Netflix all night. I think I watched 4 episodes of the hour-long show that I'm watching. It's 45 or 50 minutes, not quite a full hour. But anyway, yesterday my body just went, nah, you have been thinking on overdrive and doing on overdrive. And today, we're just going to sit and chill and watch Manifest. By the way, if you haven't seen Manifest, big fan, but be careful. I'm finding it very addictive. But knowing and really, really being gentle on myself. And I did not beat myself up one single little bit, even though my to-do list just keeps getting longer. I knew that yesterday, if I let myself have this downtime, my energy will pay me back by replenishing itself. And I've got so much more when I'm like riding this wave and I'm like doing. Whereas if I try and push through every single day, Manifest is great. I'm so glad you've seen that. I feel like most people haven't. Feels like an underrated show to me. But yeah, if I try and push through every day and keep that going, and like last night if I had gone, no, you have to do your to-do list, today would have been a lot harder. Today I would have woken up and been like, oh, I don't want to do the thing. But so honoring my energy and my needs and the flow of it all, like pretty much within every minute, within every part of the day, within every day, is making a huge difference. And I want to really point out too, a thing that is helping is that knowing there is this, it's a delicate dance between like listening to your body and honoring your needs and also this concept of discipline. So sometimes I post where I didn't, on my stories, talking about how I did not want to do my workout that day and I wasn't motivated at all. But as my coach Pippa always says, discipline is better than motivation because motivation absolutely is unreliable, comes and goes. But having the discipline to show up and do the thing, even on the days that you don't want to, that is what makes the changes. And I absolutely 100% agree with that. So there's definitely, like this morning, for example, like this past week, I've been pushing my workouts really hard. Like I have been going balls to the walls with them and pushing my workouts hard and feeling great and feeling like, yes, I can do everything. This morning, I did not want to do my workout. Just didn't want to do it. My body was like, don't make me. But today was an example where I could go, no, sorry, I'm doing this workout. Discipline is going to take over and I'm going to do this and I'm going to feel damn good when I'm done. And I did. But that, knowing when to do that and knowing when to push through that, I don't wanna, and using discipline as the answer, versus there are other days where I have gone, oh, my body does not want this. And if I push through today, this is not going to be the right thing for me. Today, my body is asking for rest. It's maybe asking for no movement, or maybe it's asking for some slow yoga, whatever it is. And those days I listen to that and I'll move my workout to the next day. And there is no right or wrong answer. So I feel like on the one hand, I'm saying, listen to your body. And if it needs rest, give it to it. And on the other hand, I'm saying, discipline, push through, do the thing. And I am saying both of those. And it doesn't have to be either or, because life isn't either or. It gets to be both of those things, but I get to say both of those things and mean both of those things because it comes down to that really learning how to listen to yourself and how to trust yourself. Because there's a difference in my body, there's a difference in my knowing and in my inner energy on the days where it's like, my body is not asking for this. It needs something else. Whereas this morning, it wasn't that. This morning, it was my whiny brain being like, I don't wanna. I'd rather do this other thing or stay in bed. Like, I can tell in me the difference between those two scenarios, and that's how I choose which one to go with. And that comes through practice. So I feel like this was a tangent off of what I was originally saying, but that's part of what I'm going with in the overall thing. So this workout is one example of how I'm doing that in my life in general. I am very much upping my discipline in a lot of areas and going, nope, you've got to do this thing. You said you're going to do it, finish it, see it through. And my energy is massively thanking me for that. I thrive off of a good mix of structure and flow. And I just was not having enough structure in my life before, in honesty. Having this contract work into my calendar now is forcing me to create a lot more structure in my days, and this really works for me. So I've really been upping my discipline and being like, you only have this much time available, so do the thing. Even if you don't want to, just get it done. But also listening to myself and allowing that flow, and sometimes going, that thing doesn't actually have to happen today. That thing can wait, or moving this around or that around. But again, that comes from really leaning into listening to myself, trusting myself, having practice with all of these things, and it makes a massive difference. And then what I said at the very beginning of all of this is just really leaning into that seasonal, cyclical flow of all of this, because there's been other seasons where I just was not this gung-ho about things. And that's okay. I needed that. I needed that time to really soak into the rest, into healing, into inner work, into doing all of this stuff that had to happen inside. And I was frustrated that my business wasn't booming like I wanted it to, but I can look and go, yeah, but that was a part of my process. I really needed that. And now I'm in a season where it's like, nope, my priority is my business, is my contracting work. It's bringing these things together. I am like, this is my priority now. And leaning into that and knowing that all of these things, the only thing that's constant in all of this is the change in it. But I think I've really finally, and I'm sure I'll probably say this again at some other point and go, oh, I've got it now. Because we always think, like when we do a new layer of awareness or expansion or growth, we're like, aha, I've got there. We never get there because there isn't a place of this. But for me, a big part of what I was working on was really embracing the cyclical nature of life, because I have this tendency to, like, when it's raining, for example, I'll think, it's rained forever. I don't even know what the sun looks like anymore. I can't remember there ever being warmth on my skin. That will probably never come again. And I just think that it's going to rain and be cold forever because that's the only thing that I can come up with. And then I don't trust it's going to be summer again in a way. And so I used to do that in lots of areas of my life. Like this season that I'm in right now is all there ever was and all there ever will be. And of course, my head knows that's not true. Like, duh, the seasons change, our moods change. Like, logically, I know that. But my body hasn't always felt that. So it's been a big thing I've been working on. And yeah, I feel like, I've kind of got there right now where I'm like, okay, I truly understand that on the days where I'm like, man, my anxiety is skyrocketing today. I am feeling super crazy anxious. My energy levels are just rock bottom low. Like, I know that that's not where I'm going to stay. I can go, okay, lean into whatever is here right now, because the more I lean into this moment, the quicker the cycle will change again. Whereas if we keep resisting that, if we try and push through or ignore that reality or whatever, then it actually just sticks around more. Whereas if we can lean into and embrace each part of the season that we're in, each part of the cycle that we're in, it absolutely comes back and fuels us more in the next parts of the seasons, the next part of the cycle. And all of these parts of the cycles have something valuable to offer us. So even though it's like, man, I feel like I'm not getting anything done right now. Like, my brain is just shut down and my body just wants to rest and I feel like I'm not being productive at all. That is productive. That might be the fertile void where actually all these systems inside of you are doing all the hidden work that actually is going to allow you to, in the next part, to blossom and bloom even greater. And if you skip that bit, then it just leads to more burnout. So really embracing the gifts of each of the seasons is really, really where I'm at right now. But yeah, this is the fun part. I will admit that although I'm getting good at like embracing all of the bits and going, there's gifts in all of this, I do love like the peak energy. So this week in particular, like I'm in the middle of my cycle. I think I'm on day 15 right now. It's the full moon last night tonight. And so that like day 15 of my cycle tends to be my highest energy. The full moon is a peak. It's one of the peak energy cycles in the moon phases. It's really, and then just in my life in general, I'm in this like amazing build of energy. So it's all coming together in this really amazing way, and it's fun. And like I said, this is definitely like my favorite part in terms of it's fun being in this phase. I know it won't last forever, so I'm soaking up every minute of it I can for right now and riding this wave while it lasts, knowing full well, and that's not to say like knowing full well, oh, there's going to be a crash and it's going to suck again and like, waiting for the shoe to drop. It's not like that at all. It's just, I'm going to embrace this knowing that it will change and there will be a slower season and that will be good too, but damn, this is fun while it lasts. So yeah. That's where I'm at. I feel like I just did one of those things where I talk a whole bunch and then go, oh, I just blacked out. What did I say? It wasn't quite that, but I hope I said something useful there. Okay, then I better move on because I am chit-chatting quite a lot. I've got 3 questions from today. So let me crack on with them. The first question is, what are some red flags on dating apps? And this one I really have been putting a fair bit of thought into, actually, since it came through. And I don't think I have an answer you're gonna love, because I don't know. The only red flags on dating apps that I can think of are things that make you go, ugh. Like, I'm not a fan in general of this whole like red flags, green flags, whatever, beige flag. Like, I think it really oversimplifies things, which I'm all for simplifying things, like absolutely, and I'm all for using a simple, like overarching narrative to help explain a more complicated point. But when it comes to red flags on dating apps, like, I mean, you can Google it and come up. I'm sure there will be tons of articles about this. Like, I bet there's a gajillion. And, you know, I've definitely seen people talk, like, on their stories doing polls on this, and people talk about, like, men holding a fish is a red flag, or I don't think I've ever come across the dating profile with a man holding a fish, but apparently that's a thing, and apparently it pisses a lot of people off. Maybe it's an American thing. I don't know. I don't see it here. But anyway, so there's all kinds of stuff like that. But truly, I think it comes down to, so I always think of dating apps as just a way to get introduced to new people who you might not run into in person. So I don't think you should spend too much time like overanalyzing anybody's dating app. Dating profile. Because if you spend too much time on it, you're then making all kinds of stories about this person that aren't necessarily true. You know, you're going, ooh, they wrote that, but what do they mean by that? Or I think that like a profile should be a much quicker, like you use it to get like, basically to get the vibe of a person. And if you like the vibe, if you like the look, say yes. And if you don't like the look, say no. Like, I think it should be a pretty quick decision-making process. And then if you both connect, you start the conversation, and that's when you start to get to know somebody more. I do not think that you should try and really get to know someone from their profile. That said, if you're writing your own, you should put your truest, most authentic self on there, because that way people have the best chance of getting your vibe quickly as well. So when you're doing this, I really truly think that the only like red flags as such are when you go, oh, not for me. But that is different for everyone, you know? So it might just be like everybody will have different things that make you go, oh, red flag. You know, maybe it's totally the wrong sense of humor. Or for me, like if they don't use capital letters and punctuation, that's a no-go. Like, would I seriously say that that's a red flag? That you're probably not going to find that on anybody's Google list. But for me, it would just, no capitalization, no punctuation, that's a no. I think again, kind of what I was saying before about that learning to listen to yourself and trust yourself. This comes up in all situations all the time. And this is another one. You just learn to listen to your inner knowing, wherever that comes from, and go yes or no. If it makes you say no, nothing lost. Like I said, I don't feel like that's maybe the answer that you were looking for, but that's really all I can offer there, because I just don't think there's any like set concrete list of red flags. If you disagree, let me know. And if anybody watching this wants to chime in, please do. Like, if you have red flags on dating profiles and you're looking and you're like, no, Lindsey, you're totally missing this. Like, this is definitely a red flag. Please let me know. I would love, love, love to get this conversation going in the comments. Because, yeah, I want to hear what you guys think. Please do. Please, let's talk. Okay, moving on to the next question. The next question came to me as a bit of a broad question, but then we got some more context behind it, so I'm going to do both of those. The question was, have you had to change any stories about yourself in order to move forward, and how? And the context behind this is having an eating disorder when they were younger, and now having body issues in terms of bloating, uncomfortableness, changes in periods, that kind of thing, and feeling like the story that's stuck in her head is, this is because of my eating disorder when I was younger. I have ruined my body. I am a bad person as a result of this, and this is my consequence of that. How do you change that story going forward? So yes, in order to answer the broad question of have I had to change stories about myself in order to move forward? Yeah. And this is one that definitely, because we get locked into these stories that we tell ourselves. They become fact in our brain. They're lodged in our conscious thoughts, they're lodged in our subconscious, and they're stuck in our energy system too. So our energy system holds all of these beliefs and frequencies in our body. And until we can clear them out, they will continue to clog up what is possible for us going forward. So this belief that what's happening with my body right here and now is because I ruined it, it will be ruined forever, and I'm a bad person because of that, and I don't deserve to have this healthy body. That is a story that you're telling yourself, as I know you know, and will be stuck there. So how to change that? The first thing is very much what you've already got, which is the awareness around it. The awareness around, this is a story I am telling myself. It does not mean that it is fact. It means that my brain is doing a great job of protecting me. Our brain's entire job is to try and keep us safe and alive, not to reach our highest potential and do these big, amazing, grand things that we're meant for. So your brain is saying, if I keep telling you this shitty ass story about our past, then you won't get any big ideas that you should go and do like something bigger. Because if you try and do something bigger or brand new, that might be too much for us to handle. That might be too scary, and I don't want this new thing. So I'm going to keep telling you this story, because this story keeps us here safe in this little tiny safe known corner of our world. Anything beyond this little safe known corner is unknown and scary, and we don't want to go there. So having that awareness and going, okay, thank you, brain, for doing a really good job of trying to keep me safe. Like, you are nailing your job. You understood the assignment, brain. And I think that actually I'm going to do something bigger and new and unknown, and that's okay. I don't need to let my brain and this old story continue driving all my decisions. I'm not going to let it run the show anymore. So having that awareness is absolutely the first step. Thanking your brain, having so much compassion for your brain for thinking these thoughts, for this fear for trying to keep you safe, having compassion for old versions of you, having compassion for the old versions who had the eating disorder, who struggled with all those things, every past version of you who was doing the best that they could with what they had and trying to keep yourself safe. Again, that's this whole point. All of this stuff has been to keep you safe, even if it was at your own harm, which you can look at from a different lens and go, but it was bad for me. How am I thanking myself for that? But because that was your body and your brain trying to use whatever coping mechanisms it had to try and keep you safe. Even if logically that doesn't make a lot of sense, that's what was happening. So thanking yourself and having compassion for those versions and having so much compassion for where you are now. And then deciding that I don't want to believe in this story anymore. I want to write a new story. And part of this, I really think, so lately the energy stuff is coming huge into my world. So like I said, our bodies our energy fields are holding these frequencies of all of this past stuff, and it will stay locked in your body until you can clear that energy out, release that energy to make room for the higher frequency, the whole like soul self purpose in your life. So to shift that from your energy, there's lots of ways you can do it. Part of it is this new energy clearing that I've been learning. So I can tell I've talked about this in past weeks of Tea Break Chat, but I can talk about it more coming up. But there are ways that we can clear this stuck energy from our body that I now know, and can release some of this. So I can send you a message about that privately and see if that's something you might want to explore. Sorry, I've got myself all in a tiz with this explanation now. Let me just... Talked about having compassion, talked about thanking yourself for keeping your brain for keeping you safe, deciding to change the story, and really betting in that belief of the new story. So it is that, and I know that you talked about what you want to replace this belief with, and it is practicing that. So changing your thoughts then does rewire the connections in your brain to create a new story. So some of this is just pure repetition. Some of this is write yourself that new story, write yourself a story that you are doing the work now to heal your body, to figure out what's going on. And yeah, perimenopause, definitely a real thing, and it is very likely that perimenopause is kicking in here. I am obviously not the expert in this, but I know that you are working with somebody who is an expert on it. So continuing to learn and lean into that, and really sort of what I was saying about leaning into the cycle and the season that we're in. Due to a time limit you have on. Oh, change your time limit. Yeah, so leaning into where you are. And that means in this case too, so leaning into this is the season that you're in right now. It doesn't matter what you did before or what you did to your body then or what season you were in then. What matters is the here and now, because that's all we can do. So getting that information, and I know that you are a big learner of things. So leaning into learning that information, soaking it up from the expert, working with the specialist you're working with, really getting that information, but then understanding that all of this takes time. It is a process. You can't speed it up. I know we have talked loads about wanting to speed it up and feeling impatient, but that we can't do that. But leaning into the here and now and trusting that you are showing your body so much love, and this is the season that you're in, and that you get to continue to try new things and tweak it and learn more information and show it more love in all of the ways and make all of that okay. And all of that is how you change the story. First, by recognizing the story you're telling yourself, choosing to write a new one, repeating it to yourself over and over, leaning into where you're at now, and clearing it from your energy system. So, was that helpful? Did I cover the things? Is there anything else specifically that I should talk about? Also, we can take some of this offline and personal conversation if that is better. So, then I'm going to go on to the third question that I had. Let me just check on timing. Okay. So, the third question that I had for this week, the final one, is fun mom tips. When parenting in general, but how to lean into being a fun parent instead of, and actually this question is linked to the one I was just talking about. So this question came of going, my husband is the fun parent, and I'm the one who does the dishes, does the cooking, makes sure everybody's fed, clothed, all the things, in bed on time, and really just having the family story be that he's the fun one and I'm the practical one. So how do you have tips for being the fun parent or being more present? And so all that same stuff about changing your story still applies. And this is one where when I first heard the question, I had two thoughts come up in my head, actually. The first one was about how for me, being a single parent, a solo parent, absolutely very early on, this came up in my head, and I was like, I don't want it to be where they go to their dad's and he's the fun house, and they come back to mine and I'm the sucky, the bad cop. And it would have been that way if we were married. I very much could see how even at the very start of parenting together and just knowing our personalities, he would have been the fun cop, I would have been the bad cop. And when I became a single parent and was doing this on my own, I was like, hey, I I do not like that story one single bit. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be the bad cop all the time. So I just decided, God damn it, I'm going to be fun too. But the second thing that really jumped into my mind right away with this was that being the fun parent or a fun parent looks different for everyone. There is no one way to do this. And really, again, like leaning into everyone's own strengths. It is perfectly okay and normal to not love getting down on the floor, playing make-believe games, or playing, doing dress up and being, the shopkeeper or the student in the classroom or whatever else. Like, if you don't love doing that, that's okay. You do not have to beat yourself up about that. Like, I have so many people in my life who are wonderful, incredible parents, and they fucking hate that kind of imaginary play. I don't fucking hate it, but I also don't love it. Like, it's definitely not my favorite. I have a pretty short attention span with it. There's versions of it that I can do, and versions where I'm like, oh my God, kill me now. And that doesn't take away being a good parent or being a fun parent even. It just means finding different ways to have fun with your kids. So it's very okay if you and your husband play in different ways. Maybe he is the get down the ground, roll around, wrestle with the kid, play imaginary games all the time. That's fine. He can do that. If you don't want to do that, if for you the fun stuff is maybe it's coloring together, maybe it's the reading the books, maybe it's the going to the playground, maybe it's whatever it is, it can be different for both of you, and that's okay. And remembering that, again, everything changes. So what your kid finds fun right now is not what they're going to find fun a year from now, or 2 years, or 5 years, or 10 years. And so this will not get locked in their brain forever, that just because in this phase of life, daddy played more than mommy did, doesn't mean that mommy's never the fun one. It just means right now they might think that because of the play stage that they are at. Totally normal, totally fine. So my tips for it then, I guess, are, I know that we've talked about getting present, and that really does mean, so if you're finding yourself doing jobs and house jobs instead of playing and struggling to get present there, that's the same tips that I talk about in all aspects of life, really, when I'm talking about getting present, is try and ground yourself in this moment. Try and come into, what can I use the five senses pleasure practice. Hello. We're talking about being fun parents. So use to ground yourself and to get present, use the five senses pleasure practice. So what can you see that brings you pleasure? What can you feel that brings you pleasure? What can you taste that brings you pleasure? What can you hear that brings you pleasure? What can you, smell that brings you pleasure? And ground yourself into the moment. Sorry, I've got a tickly throat today. So ground yourself into the moment that way. Talk to yourself, have the conversation that, you know what, the dishes can wait. Because I promise you, from a whole lot of personal experience, there will be more dishes. They'll still be there. If you don't do them right now, they're not going to go away. They'll still be there for you. They'll hang out and wait forever. So they can wait. That's fine. If it's the laundry, again, it can wait. It's not going to implode if you don't do it, put the laundry away on time, or whatever the thing is. It's okay to put down the other things and to focus on the right here and now. And I very much, another tip actually that I feel like doesn't get talked about quite enough, but is very important, is that when it comes to connecting with kids, it actually only takes a pretty short period of time of good solid connection to fill their little buckets up, to fill their love bucket, their play bucket. Every kid is different very much. Some kids are great at independent play. Some kids really want you to be there with them a lot, so I'll caveat with that. But it actually, I've definitely found, with mine, if I give them my solid focused attention for 15 minutes, I can usually then go do the dishes or whatever grown-up thing it is that I was going to do. Whereas if I say I'm going to do this grown-up thing first and then I'll come play with you, they're bugging me, they're pulling on me, they're they want me. then I'm like just torn and all over the place. But if I focus on them first and fill up their little play bucket, they will then carry on playing without me. So just keeping that in mind too, that sometimes if we do that bit first, it then can free us up for the other things. But overall, not making any of it wrong, leaning into the cycle where we're at, really stopping and asking yourself, like, is this a big deal? Like when my kids make a mess, God, the other day they were crafting in here. I was in the other room. I think I was taking a shower, in fact. I came downstairs to find sequins all over the floor in here. Absolutely covered. I was like, what has happened to these sequins? And I was like, and my 6-year-old informed me, I didn't do it. The box was just pooping out sequins. Really? The box was pooping out sequins. Pretty sure they had a hand in this. But so although like my initial instinct was to freak out because there were so many fucking sequins everywhere, I then could have a little word with myself and go, wait a second, does it really matter? What are you so stressed about? Okay, so yeah, there's some mess to clean up. I mean, the sequins are already there. You can't go back and undo that. Yeah, they're going to get spread around a little bit, but they are having so much fun right now surrounded by the sequins. And actually, do I want to be the bad cop who says, stop everything, we're cleaning up these sequins because I can't cope with sending my anxiety skyrocketing? Or do I want to be the one who goes, cool, what can we do with these sequins? And I wanted to be the fun one who said, what can we do with these sequins? So I just noticed it and went, all right, yep, I'm choosing to be this version of me right now. I'm choosing not to go into the clean this shit up mode. And stopping and asking myself that helps a lot. I frequently go, what parenting version do I want to do right now? I don't want to be that strict, mean, clean it all up. I want to be the fun version. And I just make that choice over and over and over. So, yeah, hopefully that helps too. Okay, I think this was quite a long one today, so I'm going to wrap it up there. Also, I have to go get my kids soon. So let me know what came up for you when you're listening. I feel like there was quite a lot to talk about in this one, so please do comment, send me a message, send me an email. Definitely let me know if any of this resonates for you, if any of the embracing the seasons you're in, or red flags on a dating app, or changing the stories, or like fun parenting stuff. Let me know your thoughts on any of that. If you've got follow-up questions, if you have follow-up thoughts, if you're like, I have some thoughts, please let me know your thoughts. I want to know them. So send me a message about all of that. If you are interested in coaching with me, send me a message. We can set up a free 30-minute call where we can talk about your coaching goals, my coaching packages. Do they align? Do a vibe check. Do we align with each other? There's absolutely zero pressure from me whatsoever, but it's helpful so that you know what the possibilities are and I know what your goals are. We can see does that work for both of us? Yes or no? So let me know and I can send you the booking link for that free 30-minute call. And other than that, I will be here next week doing this all over again. I'll probably say, oh my God, how's the week gone by already? Because that's where I'm at right now. And if you've got questions for next week, send them to me however you want to get them to me, and I can answer your questions next week. All right. Have a wonderful rest of your day, wonderful week, all the things. I love you lots. Mwah.